Welcome to the crypto.news MFN show. Me, your host, Dorian Batista, and my co-host, Tony
Oh,
MFN.
Tony, yeah, you know my name. You could say it. It's okay.
And our damn fine-looking, handsome guest, Dean Eigenmann, fresh from his trap spot in Zurich. Sorry, can't scrun. This
Hey
is a
guys,
family program. Well, it's actually not that, really. Dean, welcome.
it's not a family program, but don't dox my address, dude.
I won't. I'm not gonna do it. You're fine
These
about
weirdos on the internet.
somewhere in the Swiss Alps. I always picture you in like St. Moritz or Davos on a ski hill popping champagne, man. I'm like, you're everywhere. You're in Bangkok. You're a
I
well
go where I
traveled
need
man.
to.
You're a well traveled
go
Of
where
all
I
man.
the
need to.
places you've traveled, where's your favorite spot, Dean? Where do you like to work out of most?
Ooh, I mean that's a difficult. I think there's different spots for different contexts. I mean, ultimate favorite city and favorite place is always Berlin. Um, Other places where I really liked spending a lot of time and I can't wait to go back was like Mexico City, and then just best spot on the planet beyond that is Tokyo.
Wow.
Nothing
I did
better.
not hear New
That,
York in there, and I'm upset.
Well, I think I have a controversial take on New York, which will get a lot of people annoyed. But I look at cities often through nightlife, and New York nightlife feels like they're just trying to rip Berlin off and don't have their own thing going on. Um, and so like it never sucked me into the city, let's say like that.
Dean
Well,
is a Dean
I
is
have
a
a one
Berghain
I have
guy.
a 1-year-old,
Berghain
so
day down.
I'm unfamiliar with the nightlife and how New York City's nightlife has been for the past year. And if you can hear Miss Rachel in the background, you'll know why.
That's fair, that's fair.
So, Dean, all things Mev, all things crypto, all things Trump, all things degen. What's going on in crypto, man? We want your hot take.
Oh God, a hot take on summarizing the entire industry. I don't know. I think it's
You've had a
kind
lot of
of
hot
it's
takes on venture capital. You've tweeted a lot about venture capital and like this cycle
yeah.
and sort of like you've had a lot of interesting takes on X. I've been reading like
So my take on venture capital is this, right? I think a lot of the venture capital in the space has become very toxic, and it's allowed to become toxic in an environment where every other funding mechanism that was an opportunity for founders was essentially prosecuted by a regulator that was substandard. And so a lot of crypto venture was able to take advantage of that, and get themselves very favorable terms, that were often malicious towards founders, because founders didn't really there was a period of time where like big out of crypto VCs wouldn't touch crypto anymore, because it was too risky, and so you only really had when money isn't cheap, or when money isn't easily accessible, the price of money becomes more expensive. And now with an administration that seems to like look more favorably on the ecosystem, the cost of capital becomes a lot cheaper again, which just means that a lot of these predatory VCs are gonna have to watch out. Every founder who I'm talking to right now, they all have kind of the same mindset, which is they're gonna do an angel round, and then they're gonna turn to things like Legion and Echo CC, to do token sales. It's also better from a community perspective, to be able to actually get users your token very early on without having to like just do some airdrop, which just means you have people who don't actually fully believe in your product who are just gonna like sell it on day one, right?
mm, mm.
That's like the high level overview, I guess.
Yeah, you've worked a lot on Mevs, and you were famously quoted in that Fortune piece which was iconic about Mevs. What is the current state of Mev?
Oh, I mean, I think it's like I had a conversation about this with Gwart a while ago, and I think it's still kind of drifting to the same thing. A lot of MEV is being like attempted to be mitigated through like solvers and things like that. And I think that's still the current progression of the ecosystem, right? You have, or at least Ethereum centric view, right? I think in other ecosystems you have different takes of MEV, but I'm not that much of an expert there. I think like the way that the ETH space looks is it's still like tilting towards like searchers becoming solvers. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, so are you kind of like thinking that Ethereum is like still kind of building on those fronts, or are you kind of looking towards other layer ones in that regard? Is like, are you still kind of optimistic about ETH, or what is your feeling about ETH?
I have mixed feelings about ETH, and I have mixed feelings about ETH because it's my largest bag by
Full
by
disclosure, full
miles.
disclosure. Oh, now
By
you, now
like
you got some Anna Udenberg bags too. We're gonna talk about those later, but
I do have Anna Udenberg bags. No, people always give me shit when I talk shit about ETH, and they've done this to me for fucking since 2017 when I was talking crap about ETH, and it's like, dude, I'm not doing myself any favors by fucking fudding this currency, right?
yeah.
Um,
You only
like
critique what
here,
you love. You only critique
yeah,
what you love.
here's my issue. My issue with ETH is the following, right? They're competing on three fronts, and they're the second best in all three fronts, right?
What are the
Um,
three fronts? Outline it for our listeners who might not be
Yeah,
familiar.
yeah. So they're competing on store of value. Bitcoin's a better store of value. Like the entire ETH is money meme was like this thing of like trying to turn ETH into a store of value, which is like just not good at. They're competing on data availability now at this point with all the roll-ups and the L2s, where Celestia is a better option. And they're competing on execution. And I'm not saying that Solana right now is a better execution, but it just or a better environment for execution. Like I've never developed on Solana, but I hear it's a fucking pain in the ass. But from what it looks like to an outsider, like that ecosystem is more blossoming, right? Like DeFi has kind of stalled, like since the invention of like money markets, or the money markets that we've seen, there hasn't been that much interesting stuff happening. Like the ETH community needs another like catalyst from 0 to 1 to really like kind of spur innovation in the space again. And like I think a big issue was the fact that the foundation was so detached from like what's going on chain. They're playing this stupid whack-a-mole of like trying to get data availability and execution to work in one thing, which just doesn't. Yeah, so it's gonna be like, I'll do my best to kind of guide people in the right direction on ETH and things like that. I said, out of any bag that I have incentive to work on, it's ETH. But like, yeah, there's a lot of I think there's a lot of stuff that could be improved.
Well, I have a quick question, and then I'm going to kick the ball over to Dorian.
Yeah.
I thought one of your I was browsing your x.com account,
Yeah.
and one of the interesting things you said was a large problem of crypto is that we sold the idea that you can get relatively rich really quickly working in the industry, which attracted a bunch of low talent individuals who became disenfranchised by the fact that they didn't. And then they clutter the space without progressing it. Well, why
Yeah.
don't you expand on that a little bit? Because that was kind of like throwing shade at a lot of people, up and comers in the industry.
Oh, I'm happy
But maybe
to.
rightfully so.
Like I think like especially in the like not 2017. 2017 was still a bit early, but in like 2020 influx, you had a large influx of people who, you know, like not all of them were low talent. I speak in extremes, but you had a lot of other people who would not get the kind of roles they would have in a more traditional space. Um, who their contributions are relatively numbered to the industry, or a lot of them like went to something largely extractive because like that's what they were promised, right? And so they extracted what they got from the space without really like
Well, it touches on,
doing
Dean,
any
what you said
meaningful.
about what you also posted about conferences and all these like basically biz dev, like, I hate to
Oh yeah,
say it, but
conferences are
just like,
fucking like, I'm
yeah,
sorry, but
like
conferences are fucking like
you want
like
to shoot yourself
what
in the
other
face.
in
It's,
yeah
yeah, it's like they
what other industry can you like travel from conference to conference consistently and still get paid? Like fucking like there's so many
yeah,
people in this space who are just like
conference
they don't have
hose,
an apartment
conference
because they're
hose,
just
conference
traveling from
hose,
conference to conference. It's just
conference
like
hose,
if
conference
yeah,
hose.
it's fun that our ecosystem is absurd and like blurs these lines, but at one point like
But you've
I
gone
also
from a
tweeted this.
conference ho to a biennial bro. Like now you have
I
become an
mean,
art
like
collector. But I want to
I
talk about
think
like your cultural side too, because you've spoken a lot about money and guardrails for money. But like, what
yeah,
about your new guardrails that you're building for your art collection? You've acquired works by like some of the top artists in Berlin. You've
yeah.
been exhibited all over. I mean, how do you see that relationship between art and finance? Do you see a
Well,
symbiosis there, or like, is there
I think, I think there's people who treat art collecting as a subset of finance, and obviously look at it as like a wealth preservation standpoint. I don't like, I have
Well,
enough,
that's how JP Morgan, their huge art collection. They have a
yeah,
museum, devoted
yeah,
to all their art now, and
yeah.
that
I
that's what they spend their money on.
Yeah, I just like, I like art for the beauty and the interest. I don't look at it as a as a as a as
as a
an
bag, as a bag
as an
to flip?
investment. Um, I luckily I now have the privilege to be able to buy pieces by, as you said, some of the Berlin artists who I largely respect. But I think my main focus is buying up and coming artists as
Wolfgang
well who
Tilliams, A. Bronson, Hannah Udenberg, so
those are
many.
those are the classics, right? But then I
Yeah.
have like crazy pieces by up and
But
coming
you're really
artists. Like,
interested in the club scene too, right? And documenting that early history. Like I remember staying on your couch and you had that great Rick Rubin book, which I picked up.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
and
I mean, yeah, I like I'm very much into music and art. I like it's I think the problem with crypto is that so many people get so bogged down into making it their life 24/7 because it's so easy, right? Like the people we generally work with are like easy to deal with. It is an amazing industry to work in, and but like, I was dating someone who was working in crypto as well, but at one point, I feel like you need some kind of balance, and for me that balance has been like music, art and things like that. And now, yeah, I get the privilege of buying pieces by, as you say, some of the greats, but also like buying pieces by young up and coming artists. Yeah.
hmm, yeah. So yeah, what's next for Collection Dean?
There's a couple of pieces I'm looking at. I just got the Anna Udenberg, so I think I should take a break. I After the Anna Udenberg, I actually got two other pieces they just did an opening at my 36 gallery. Um, where I was like, okay, I really want this. It's an artist called Jacobo Benassi. I got two pieces by him. I'll show you the pieces, Dorian. I think you'll like them. Um, I'm eyeing a Cindy Sherman. I don't know if I should. I want to. And then there's like a piece I've been working on for like a year or so to try and acquire. Um, but yeah, you'll see them when I get them.
When are you going to become a nude model for
A
for
nude
for
model.
for yeah? Like I could see you being a nude model, dude.
I mean, the second someone hires me.
I could see you
Well,
being some kind of like muse, a muse of a
go.
great, a muse of a great, a muse
It
of
would be an
a.
intro. I would love that lifestyle.
You've had your portrait
You like
painted a few times.
I've had my photo taken. One of my friends who's also an incredible artist and one of the bouncers of Berghain did a a shooting documenting some of the regular faces at the club. And I was photographed for that. So I've had my picture taken for that, but I've never really done anything professional there.
You and
But that
Ozan had
was
that nice painting of yourselves in
We
the.
had that nice painting. Yeah, that was a gift from a friend. It was hanging, it used to hang in the Dialectic office.
No
Yeah.
chance of turning them into NFTs.
I was, so there was this long conversation we once had actually where it was like turning one of my nudes into an NFT. Um, I just don't like NFTs for me are kind of mm, in general. And so I don't know if I want to, if that's
Yeah, you
the
were
art
you
I
were
want
you
to.
were like the crypto bag holder who was like super bashing on NFTs the whole time.
I
I was like, yes, Dean. I meet him at the Beeple show in Turin in Italy, and he's like smashing it. He's like they're
Why?
like the
Why?
flag,
What's your beef
like the
against
apocalypse
NFTs?
is how
Like
come. But
you're gonna
he had
invite
a
your
really
homies
good
over
take
to
on them though.
scroll through your fucking NFTs, dude?
No, but
Like,
he
hey
had a
bro, come
really
on
good.
over and look at my NFTs.
Yeah, you had a really good take on them though, like a couple times on X. I forget the specifics, but you had some really spicy takes on it.
Yeah, I just like I don't know. So I find the greatest sin of an art collector to be the sin of fucking like buying beautiful pieces and putting them into storage. And there's no like I was talking with Kenny about this, Kenny Schachter. Like currently there's no like reasonable way to like display your NFTs, right? Like Kenny called it art for guests because you only turn on the fucking screens when the guests are over.
Hmm.
Like it's just like yeah, it's not like an art form that I want in my house, and all the art I collect is art that I want in my house, I guess.
Kenny's favorite clip of mine was when he once mused um, upon being accused of some Me Too business. He's like, man, I would have to give the date rape drug to myself. I don't even know how to do that. Um,
Oh my God,
Kenny clips,
Kenny.
but yeah, man. Okay, so you've got all of that going on. Tell us what you've got going on a bit professionally. Like you've left Dialectic and what you're working on now.
Yeah, I left Dialectic. We Project Blanc, the MEV shop, went through an acquisition with ChainSafe.
Hmm.
Um, and for me, honestly, it's like I'm in the like point at which I'm figuring out what's next. So I'm still prolifically angel investing throughout the space. Still talking with a bunch of founders on the daily. Um, but I'm definitely going to get back to doing something new. Want to get back into like something on the protocol level. Not 100% sure what that is yet, but I think first I'm going to take some time off. And then dig further. But time off for me means like,
What's your
not
hot take
not
on
have
this
a
whole
signed contract.
what's your hot take on this whole deep seek thing? I mean, and AI, like how is this going to affect markets? And I mean, how are you using AI, if at all?
I use it mainly for coding and for fucking fact checking what lawyers tell me.
Mm,
Um, I think the big one for me has been like my cost of legal fees has gone down by like 300x because I can first like chat with an AI and then fucking like have a lawyer or give the points to the lawyer
mm,
rather than like have a
mm,
lawyer send it to
mm,
his associate and charge me like $600 an hour for it.
mm.
That was really the big one as like an entrepreneur and as a founder. And then I think that they're incredible for um
Yeah,
entrepreneuring too.
yeah. I mean, um, the Y Combinator just released like their parameters for what they're looking for, and like they're looking for a lot of these agents now. Because I mean, I've seen people run DeepSeek on like a Raspberry Pi, right? It's like you can
Yeah.
really just rip these fucking agents out, and it's like so interesting where it's headed now. I think like a lot of people
I
are going to
mean,
be using it.
like I think they're super fascinating for crypto as well. Like, I think that in like in 12 to 18 months, like most interactions on crypto are already bots.
Mm,
Like 98% of interactions will be bots and AIs. It's
mm,
just the logical next step, right? You'll have
mm,
AI driven yield aggregators. You have a ton of those projects on Mode already. For example, like Giza and stuff like that, who are doing yield optimization using AI technologies and stuff like that. So I think like that's like for crypto and AI crossover, that's like the logical thing right now for me with the crypto to AI crossover is a bit hard to tell because I'm not an AI expert, right? Like I use some of these tools, but I haven't really had the time to like dig into what any of this actually means. So I don't know how much of it is fucking bullshit. And
mm,
my current assumption right now is that 75 to 95% of it is bullshit.
mm,
But there's some really nice gems in there. So actually like my strategy for the AI stuff has been like I don't have the smarts for AI, and so I invested in a fund that focuses on AI and crypto crossover.
mm,
Nazare Ventures from Seven Waterhouse, because he's an expert on AI, and so that gives me exposure. Plus, I also have the privilege of being able to chat with him on almost the daily to pick his brain on it.
What's your sense on the Trump trade? I mean, is this the era of like meme coin rug pull for all? Like, what are we in?
I'm like, so clearly crime is now no longer crime. It's all fucking legal. Um, I,
Tornado
I,
Cash, all charges dropped finally.
I take it with a grain of salt, right? Like, you know, it is great to have a crypto positive administration. However, like a crypto scammer administration will end up doing us more harm than it will do good harm, right? Like if we get a non-favorable administration after this again, it's not going to look good that Trump did a coin and then Melania did a rug pull coin after that, right? Like,
Where are the
um,
voices, Dean? How come there's nobody saying what you're saying? It seems like the industry is run by a bunch of folks who are condoning this.
because a lot of people are single issue voters, right? A lot
I
of people don't.
agree. I
A
agree. But
lot
if
of
that's your issue, if crypto is your issue, how come they're not speaking up?
because their bags are up. Why would you? Why would you? But they're not. Their single issue isn't crypto. Their single issue is that their bags are currently crypto. You know.
Well,
Um,
AKA they're short sighted. They're not thinking
yeah.
long game here.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's I think a lot of the issue of this space, right? Is that like because it's so hyper financialized that a lot of people like dropped off for the original vision of crypto. That's why we're getting all these like half-baked crypto products that are mostly centralized but have a bit of crypto attached to it, rather than having like actual crypto, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I saw a meme the other day. It was like 2013 Bitcoin. It was like WikiLeaks, Silk Road, P2P cash.
yeah,
And then like
pumped up
beneath it
from
was like, yeah, JP Morgan, Simp Daddy, Donald Trump, Cheeto Hitler.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, my God, we have so much to talk about, but we don't have that much time. So, I mean, Tony, you got any more questions for Sir Eigenmann?
Just one. I wanted to just before we leave, get back to the AI artist issue and the intersection of crypto, and because you're obviously very passionate about art, and yeah, are you worried about AI infiltrating art? A lot of folks are worried about it infiltrating, and taking jobs away. But what about art? It's looked like Hollywood is really trying to capitalize on it for what it's worth, calling that
Um,
art.
you
What
know,
about
like
other types of art too? Is it seeping in, and is it going to be detrimental?
so like, for step one, right? Like even if it takes jobs away, you still have a prompter, right? So the artist just becomes the prompter or whatever. However, like, like humans favor things made by other humans. You see this in like luxury goods, right? Luxury goods sell themselves on the fact that they're handmade. Um, and that they're not made by machines, right? A Swiss watch you buy because it's made by a machine. A Rolls Royce is 100% made from the factory in London, right? Like humans favor things that are made by machines because they think that like for lack of better like analogy they think you know what the human creates, part of their soul and energy goes into that thing, right? Like if you believe in that shit or don't believe in that thing, right? Like humans favor things made by other humans. I think AI is just a tool even in art. Like
But isn't it like the
it
McDonald'sification of art? Because yes, it feeds into the machine, and like
wasn't
you
Andy
gave it.
Warhol the McDonaldification of art? And I
Perhaps he
have a fucking
was. What
Andy
does it?
Warhol at home. Like I
Yeah,
think Warhol was the McDonaldification of art. The McDonaldification of art already happened when you fucking like have artists who make a piece and they do a series of 1,000 of those pieces plus an artist print. Like
yeah.
the like commercialification and things like that. Like that there's art that's always been easy to make. There's art that's always been hard to make. Like just because you're now using a different medium of AI doesn't mean that the art is going to end up being less creative, right? Like art people, like this is what pisses me off about the art world is that art people still love to be so fucking snobbish about all this stuff, but all of this has already happened, right? Like they just want to guard their little inner circle because oh no, there's something new coming in. It's like when you walk into a gallery and look like me and no one wants to sell you a piece, right? It's like it's just like art people protecting art people.
Mm.
I hope this doesn't get me canceled.
Oh, no, you'll be fine, dude. As long as they're
I'm not a
spending money in them
canceler.
galleries, they don't care, man. They don't care.
Yeah,
The art world is
yeah.
ruthless. Probably more ruthless than crypto. What's more ruthless, art or crypto, Dean?
I think
Art.
art is just smaller, right?
Mm.
The market is a lot smaller.
Hmm.
Um, like
There are perils to both. I would say
there are perils to both.
the conference circuit in art is far superior. The art fairs, the biennials are 1,000,
Yeah.
a million X better than the fucking boring ass fairs with a bunch of fucking dudes and biz dev girls that are just there to shill their crappy fucking tokenomic like scam coin. Anyway,
but here's the thing, right? The art fairs are also only fun if you like know the artists. If you're stuck on like the business side of the art fair, it's grueling as well.
Yeah, you're right. It's true. It's true. That much is certainly true. If you're not, yeah, it's true.
No, but to AI art, I think there's like interest. Anything
What's
can be an
better,
interesting
ETH
medium
Denver
for art.
or Art Basel, dude? What if you only do?
I've never been to ETH Denver, but I will be at Art Basel in July. If that answers your
You're already
question.
here first, crypto.news. Our fucking show, man. We gotta stop swearing, but like we got Dean Eigenmann on, so it's a special one. Our first swear
Are you
word.
coming to Art Basel?
Yeah, man.
You're definitely going to be there.
Yeah, man.
Perfect.
That's the one. Even though I'm working in crypto now, I still like to moonlight in the art. We got to do a nice piece when you're ready. For when you're set.
Let's do it.
Thank you so much for your time, Dean.
Thanks for having me.
Adios.
Dean, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Bye.